everybody, Easy Mode here, and I'm coming at you with the league starter I started playing for Path of Exile 2, 0.4, the last Druid League, and that is a Shaman Cold Werewolf. I've had a lot of fun playing this build. I played Werewolf from level 1 as soon as I saw the trailers around Werewolf and around shapeshifting. I figured I wanted to play the good old archetype of a Druid from Diablo 2, and I was originally thinking of playing like a Poison Werewolf, kind of bring back that memory. But it didn't seem like that can be doable with this, so I opted in just to do cold based on how it was built. And honestly, it was a smooth campaign for me. From level 1 all the way to maps, I didn't have trouble whatsoever with the character, and it was just a smooth experience overall. So I'm just going to jump right into the build, because I do want to kind of talk about a little bit of the changes I made for it. So I'm just going to go right at the get-go here and talk about Shaman. So a lot of people play an Oracle with this build, and they're focusing on crit because they're able to get that crit node and they're able to crit on their attacks a lot more than usual. I opted out to go for Shaman and to go for elemental damage. Primarily I focused on Turning of the Seasons with the Reactive Growth and Avatar of Evolution. Avatar of Evolution and Reactive Growth are great defensive ascendancies in my opinion. Adaptation is super nice because you take less elemental damage and you double it with Avatar of Evolution. And Turning of the Seasons allows you to provide exposure, which alongside Dimensional Weak Spot and Piercing Claw with Swift Claw, these nodes here were great all up until the end game. I opted out to drop these nodes when I picked up a Rakiata's Flow. Now, if there was one particular item that you would focus on to kind of pick up for this particular build, in my opinion, it's Rakiata's Flow. This was able to allow me to save a lot of points on my tree, and this also was allowing me to switch my tree from where I was pathing here to a more defensive tree with Mind Over Matter. Someone on Reddit posted about their Oracle and picking up Mind Over Matter as a defensive layer, and I thought that was a fantastic idea. One of the biggest weaknesses of this build was the fact that I had a decent HP pool, but I could not survive a big hit. I think that's like Armor's biggest problem is like they can't survive big hits. You need to build like a HP pool around it or something so you can, you know, recover from it or whatnot or block. But I have no way to survive big hits back in the day. I guess back in the day, but like yesterday pretty much, until I read that post. And then once I moved over to Mind Over Matter and I put up these Mana Remnants instead of Savage Fury, I suddenly became extremely tanky and I was able to take hits that I couldn't take before. And I stopped dying a lot comparatively than what I was when I was running like juiced out maps with like a bunch of rare tablets and so on and so forth. Almost level 95 because of that, so it's made me super tanky. And I think this is a great move to do once you have the resources to do so. But honestly, playing this without mana, without Mind Over Matter, as well as without this Metamorphosis is just fine. You can do Arbiter and Citadel bosses just fine without Rakiata's Flow, and you'll be able to kind of kill them easily with this setup here on the tree for Dimensional Weak Spot as well as Piercing Claw and Swift Claw. But however, once you do get a Rakiata's Flow, you're able to actually drop Turning of the Seasons away, and you're able to pick up one of these guys, whichever one you feel is important. I thought Sacred Flow is better than Wisdom of the Magi, so that was my 4th Ascendency with Sacred Flow. I fucking hate charms in this game. I think they're honestly useless. So I got 120 Spirit for having no charms. That's good for me, because I never really do anything with my charm slots when playing PoE 2. Maybe someone will tell me there's a way to make it better or what have you, but I really never played around with charms, or I never really cared for them when I played this game. So I got 120 Spirit from that. However, I opted out to Turning of Seasons to go to Wisdom the Magi. So now I get benefits from the runes I put on, which is great because, you know, I get +1 level attacks here, you know, so on and so forth. I get additional HP when it comes to some of my runes. So it's nice to have instead of having exposure. But Rakiata's is like probably your #1 item you want to go for when you are looking for an upgrade on this particular build. But outside of that, the tree has not really changed if you remove this top section here. Pretty much everything has stayed the same. I path through the spell attack notes here. I got a bunch of immobilized damage here. I made sure to pick up Iron Slippers so I can get more armor on my boots while maintaining energy shield. My chest piece was armor, energy shield focus. Same with my same with my helmet. So I can try to build these both back up. So it's both hybrid here. I'm also trying to make sure I get armor applied as elemental damage. So as you can see here, I have pretty high armor, almost 10k. I could probably get a little bit more 10k if I wanted to play around with my sockets here, maybe get better, maybe not do chaos rest here, maybe get a better ring or what have you. So like there are ways for me to make a little bit of improvements. So I can take this to 10k and I can do 75% fizz rest, 75% fire rest, 70% cold, 70% lightning. So like you're able to take a lot of small hits just fine. It was the big hit problem that I was having that I kind of resolved with this Mind Over Matter setup. You'll see here that the weapon, you'll see here that the weapon sets are broken up into two. So my shred is on weapon set 1. So weapon set 1 has shred and all my other moves. So you'll be getting crit damage here. You'll be getting additional damage as cold here, as well as damage against immobilize here, additional damage, more elemental damage over here. My lunar assault is actually set up on my weapon 2 slot, and its whole primary goal is to freeze. So I have freeze buildup here, area of effect here, splash damage here. Like its whole goal is to try to freeze people with that particular move. Outside of that, my tree hasn't really changed that much. I'll be placing a POB here just so you guys can see the difference between pre-Rakiata's flow and post-Rakiata's flow. I keep talking about Rakiata's flow, but I feel like that's like the defining support gem for this build, so you can start transitioning away on your tree here. Outside of Rakiata's flow, another thing I wanted to talk about was Pounce. So you'll notice I have a bunch of wolves around me. They're actually very important to me because of this pack encouragement. Like the primary reason why I wanted this Metamorphosis Jewel, to be honest with you, is to pick this up, and also because of what Predator Mark does. So Predator Mark marks the target and they take more damage for enemies surrounding them, up to 45%, and it's technically up to 65% with the additional points, quality points into it, and that allows me to pretty much get maximum additional damage with the amount of wolves I have summoned here. I have 14 wolves with my wolf pack. So one of the big drawbacks of Pounce, though, when it comes to its wolves, is you only can summon a wolf if you either kill a monster that has a mark on it, or you use cross slash on a monster that has a mark on it to then summon a wolf. So to kind of circumvent that and just keep my wolves up as a debuffer, I decided to put Brutus's Brain here just so I can keep them alive, and they just exist there. Once I put this in there, they're just a debuffer and they're just there to exist, and they're not used for anything. Same thing happens here with Wolfpack. However, these guys actually do damage. They actually exist because I do want them to die. If they die, they provide me maximum regen here with Essence Harvest. They provide me buffs with a Zamunu Tether here. So I'm able to get Abyss buffs here. They also take damage away from me. So they pretty much take the damage from hits when it goes to them. So it's kind of like a way for me to get buffs during mapping. This is a luxury item. You don't really need this. It's not that expensive, but you don't really need it. You can rock this 5 set here, but that's their sole job, is to take damage away and to die to give me mana. This Mana Remnant is a part of the Mind Over Meta setup I have here. Mana Remnants provides me mana, and like honestly, a big part of this build was struggling with mana when clearing. Like if you could move to the mana setup, I would encourage to do that. Maybe even before Rakiata's flow, if you want to remove some of your damage. It's like if you want to remove some of this like extra fire damage here, and like some of these extra damage nodes here to get to Mind Over Matter, I would, because one of the biggest problems while mapping was how much Lunar Assault cost. That's 117 mana per hit, and that goes down really fast when you don't have any mana to recuperate and you're spamming your mana pot. But with Mana Remnants, whenever you crit a monster or you kill a monster with Elemental Ailment, which you will be freezing 100% of the time, you will be able to get these little mana things on the ground that you won't see because you're going to be running around everywhere, and it gives you mana regen, pretty much 250 mana per little ball, and you're always going to be at 100% mana. I at least thought that's how I felt like while mapping. So this, like I said, this Mind Over Matter setup is fucking great. Shout out to that guy who did it on Reddit, honestly. Outside of that, it's kind of like your standard-ish gem setup here. You have cross slash, which is used to just bring in your ice fragments from your shred. You have lunar assault, which provides you a cold damage buff when you freeze a guy. So this gives it based on your rage. So I'll have 67% extra cold damage. As I mentioned earlier, your Pounce gives you your holy ground for regen on your energy shield, as well as making sure your wolves don't die. Your Arctic Howl provides you additional cold damage. Empowered skills, your Lunar Blessing gives you cold damage for turning into a white wolf. And the whole thing is just so you can freeze, do this a bunch of times, and then do a cross slash. Eternal Rage is great because I don't have to put in rage supports onto my main moves to give them more damage. It just passively gives me rage, which is fantastic, so I don't have to micromanage my rage so much. This Uthred's Exodus is actually pretty good too, but this is also a luxury item. You don't really need anything in here. And Herald of Ice is just for clearing. I know there are people out there who utilize Herald of Ice to armor break. I think Moxie was one of these content creators who was using that with his Oracle. I do too much cold damage. Looking at my tree, I get like this cold damage node here. I get additional cold damage here, you know, so on and so forth. So I feel like I don't do enough fizz damage to warrant those pops. It was kind of working, kind of not working. And it really involved your talisman to have extra fizz damage on it to be able to work. I POB'd it. I lose like 1,000,000 DPS going to a fizz damage, extra fizz instead of just extra cold. So I decided just to use my Herald of Ice as standard Herald of Ice with ice frozen spite to just create ice fragments on the ground like little bombs so that it can clear that way. It hasn't been a problem for me. But just to kind of go over my gear really quick, this is your standard talisman. You want high fizz, gain extra as cold, onslaught on kill, plus level attacks and attack speed on it. You want these gloves to reduce your mobility on the enemy. Sinews, Equids, Grand Machetes. You can get this down to like in the 40s, but they're expensive. So I just decided to keep a normal one. And you want to have energy shield boots because of this passive tree node here, the iron slippers, which gives you a lot more armor for energy shield. Outside of that, as I mentioned before, it's kind of like your standard. Try to get some flat damage on your rings if you can. Try to make sure you get some armor and resistances on your belt, with charm slots open. Try to get armor as applies as elemental damage somewhere, either on your chest piece or on your helmet. Primarily try to do it both if you can. And on your necklace, I made sure to get as much stats as I can because it is a little stat hungry. Your moves here, you are needing a lot of intellect for mana remnants. You see it's like 137. You need a lot of strength for your internal rage here, which is 147. So it's a little stat hungry here, which is what I opted to just to kind of get like a really stat focused necklace here. I allocated battle trance as my anoint just so I can get more max rage. That just helps me keep my lunar blessing up. It gives me more attack damage, so on and so forth. But yeah, that's been the build. It's been super fun. It's been fun enough that it's kept me longer than a week, and I'm probably gonna make another build now because I'm actually having fun. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, just shoot a message in the comments down there, and I'll try to help you out. But I'll be posting a POB with both the pre-Rakiata's flow and like post-Rakiata's flow trees. And yeah, I'll catch you later. Take care. Bye.